Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is a miraculous fairy tale, Secrets Under the Moon. So I hope you've been enjoying it so far. This is chapter 12. Massive shout out to Argataza for her beautiful, stunning commissioned artwork for the thumbnail. All her information is down below, so make sure you go and send her some love. Make sure you send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of this chapter and what will happen in the next one, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on other series and treats and one-shots coming your way. And I hope you enjoy. Chapter 12. Marinette brushed the soft petals against her lips. Was this his answer? He had found a way to be there for her. But after what Felix had said, and what if she couldn't get away because of the competition? Would she? Could she jeopardize it for him? Before she could even answer that question, she still needed to add the final pieces to her dress, ready for tomorrow night. How had it come so soon? The last few days had blended into one, with the amount of hours she had slept could be counted on two hands. But it will be worth it, won't it? The moment they announced her name and declared she was a designer. Marinette clenched the rose in her hand as she jumped down onto her bed and down the steps. She placed the fresh rose next to the wilting one, which only had a handful of petals left on it. She picked up one of the deep red, dried petals that had got stuck underneath her sketchbook. Gently, she cupped it into a palm. What had Dizzy said? These were once her roses, in another life that was still out of reach. She had grown and nurtured these beautiful flowers, and now Kitty looked after them, protected them, bringing her one. But why? A reminder? A promise? The way her Kitty had held her that night had continued to bring her comfort as she sat alone for hours sewing, finding herself wishing he was beside her, keeping her company, imagining Kitty laying on the chaise. Her cat man reading a book or a magazine seemed so surreal to the point it had turned magical in her mind. Then a reminder of Adrian would split her mind and heart apart. Which one was real? Which one was him? Or is the Adrian she had known gone now? And yet, one thought repeatedly ran around her head. If he managed to break the spell, who would she be greeted with? Kitty or Adrian? But if he couldn't break the spell, could she have a life with Kitty? Could she love that version of him? No. Focus, Marinette. She glanced over at her phone. It was 11 p.m. and she had to wake at 4 a.m. for the bakery. She turned towards the mannequin, stroking her hand down the silk fabric, causing the layers of the skirt to flutter and dance against the movement, smiling at the thought of dancing in this dress. The idea of being in Kitty's arms as he guided her across the dance floor. But he had been right to refuse. What had she been thinking? What had made her request such a reckless idea? She swept a hand through the air, dismissing the notion and attempting to gain back the little focus she had left in her. There were still 2 jobs left to do. Attach the cap sleeves and a brooch she had found in her memory box before she could try and get some sleep. She had managed a total of 2 hours of sleep, staring at herself in the mirror, wondering at what point did the dark circles underneath her eyes become darker than smoky eyeshadow, and convinced she no longer had blood running through her veins but coffee. Was it too much? The morning in the bakery hadn't been too bad since it was a Saturday, especially since there wasn't Felix to attend to. However, in the afternoon, just before she closed early, he had sent her a card with a small bouquet of perfect baby red roses. Dearest Marinette, I will come at 8 p.m. to pick you up with my car and escort you to the ball. Do not worry about a thing. I will make sure everything goes smoothly tonight. I will be by your side throughout the night, showing you off to all the right people, and then once it is time, we will celebrate you joining my company and always remaining by my side. Always yours, Felix. She dropped the flowers on the counter and read the note 3 times, each one making her feel sick and struggling to breathe. This wasn't what she had wanted. It wasn't what she had planned. But if it meant getting the position to become a designer, was it worth the cost? At the end of the day, if she chose Kitty, what could he do for her? What could he do for her family? She pursed her lips in a struggle to hold back the tears. No, the last thing she needed was puffy eyes. She had 3 hours to get ready, have a bath, apply enough makeup that made her skin glow, and make sure everything was perfect. Nothing could go wrong. She stood in front of the long mirror and stared at herself. Was it enough? Was she enough? She had curled her long hair and arranged it into a half bun, using one of her mother's hairpins for luck. The makeup had done its job in removing the exhaustion from her face, and the dress? It was the best thing she had ever created. She looked like a princess covered in silk petals, floating and fluttering as she moved. She was ready. The doorbell rang as her phone buzzed with a message from Felix. Since when did he have her number? Never mind, that's not important. Butterflies stormed inside of her, ready to possess her and take over. Her hands sweating, struggling to type back the single word, ready. Marinette grabbed her clutch bag containing her notes, not sure if the judges would ask questions after the presentation. Catwalk? Oh, how much she hated not being in control and knowing what would happen. Trusting Felix instead just felt wrong. With one last glance in the mirror, she was ready. Opening the back door, she hadn't expected to be greeted by Felix, standing there in a formal black tie suit, with his blonde hair sleeked back and a wide smile on his face. Before she was able to greet him, a sharp pain struck her, followed by an image of Adrian, wearing the same outfit. His hair not so polished, but held a red rose and a sparkle to his eyes. Those emerald green eyes. Her beacon. The image shifted from Adrian to Kitty, holding her, protecting her, and speaking secrets through the same green eyes. That was a first. Kitty replacing Adrian. Marinette, you look absolutely stunning this evening. Felix's voice broke her out of the trance and back to the man posing as her man. Her love. The fake soft smile and a simple bow answered his compliment. Shall we? Felix gestured to the car, and the door held open by the driver she had only seen through the window, but up close he was a lot more imposing. Yes, thank you, she managed to say, her mouth gone dry. He gestured for her to go in first, followed by him, enclosing her into the luxury trap. I meant what I said. You look stunning this evening, Marinette. All the men will be jealous of me having you on my arm this evening, and many more to come, I hope. Her eyes went wide with a statement. Was this it? Had she surrendered to him? He leant forward and produced a small box from behind his hand and held it out to her. A small token of what this means to me. I don't think you understand how long I've waited and what it has taken to get here. Her eyes shot from the dark red box to his face. What did he mean? Felix, this is a generous gesture, but I think you misunderstand me. He opened the lid and revealed a single sparkling diamond sitting on a bed of red velvet. This is too much. Why was he giving her such a gift? For you. And I know it's not enough, but in time it will be. In time, I will give you the whole of Paris. I will give you the world. That is what you want, isn't it, Marinette? To be a designer that the whole world takes notice of? To be celebrated as one of the top designers in Vogue? Me and you against the world as we take Aggress to the next level together. In time, we will be a husband and wife partnership. Everyone will fear and bow at our feet. What was he saying? Felix was edging closer, backing her against the car door. She had nowhere else to go. That is what you want, isn't it, my love? For now, it is a diamond necklace, but next time it shall be a ring. Wait! She held her hands up. Felix, this is... What are you saying? What was he saying? Love? Husband and wife? I thought that's what you had agreed to. This is what you want, isn't it? To become the best designer? Yes, but... It was, wasn't it? She wanted to become a designer. She wanted what he had described, except being with Felix. Is that what it cost? She had caught glimpses of the fashion world over time, knowing part of it was not just what you know, but who you know. Part of the reason Chloe had gotten so far in the industry already. But this... She had wanted to do it on her own. She had wanted to make her own mark. But was that enough to get her through the door? Turn around. I will put it on. She froze, body and mind. She felt his hands on her shoulder, his fingers pressing into her skin as he guided her round before the cold metal and stone wrapped around her throat. It doesn't sparkle as much as you do. Or perhaps it's alone. I should have gotten you a string of diamonds. No! A hand landed on the sharp stone. How once it had been a lump of coal which had been formed and pressed to the point it transformed into a gem. Is that what he had in mind for her? Mold her from the person she was until she was... what? Felix, this is too much. Forgive me. I have raced ahead of myself. We will take it slow, I promise. But please, for now, accept this small token. His tone was softer now, but as she glanced back into the low-lit car, catching his green eyes, they didn't shine like emeralds. They didn't shine at all. Rather, they were cold, calculating. Suddenly realizing she had no other choice but accept. She was trapped. The car came to a stop and watched Felix place on a wide grin, straightening down his suit jacket. Are you ready? He held out a hand to her as the car door sprang open. There was no time to answer. His fingers laced around her and encouraged her out of the door with a little more force than she liked. The moment her shoe touched down on the pavement, the night sky was filled with a storm of flashes. Blinding lights ricocheted like bolts of lightning as the thunderous calls and demands emitted around her. She didn't know what to do or where to turn. Even as she closed her eyes, streaks of colour filled her sight. The hand clenched around hers guided her through the first wave until she found herself standing next to him, with the hand now around her waist. Felix Aggress, Mr. Aggress, who is this beautiful woman? What can you tell us? Is she your girlfriend? A group of voices called out in front of them. She tried to let go, to step away, to open her mouth and deny everything. But his hand gripped onto her dress that much tighter, knowing if she moved away now it would tear the fabric. This is Miss Dupang Chang, an up-and-coming designer, and yes, someone also dear to me, Felix said in a tone that even she almost believed. Cheers called out as another bolt of flashes erupted around them. "That will be all," a tall woman announced, who had emerged from behind and gestured them down the red carpet towards the entrance of the Palais de l'Élysée. 2 men in black suits stood opening the doors at their arrival. The thunderous sound gave way to a low murmuring peace as clusters of Paris finest stood sipping champagne in the salon. She had never seen anything like it before. The silver gilded plasterwork against the creamy white was simply stunning and elegant, whilst a piano piece was played in the background, reminding her of... No, the memory was out of reach. A waiter passed them with a tray of champagne flutes as Felix took 2, handing one to Marinette. She watched the tiny bubbles float and pop at the top as drips of condensation cast down the side of the glass and pooling on her finger. She had promised herself to remain focused and not to be tempted, but as her tongue stuck to a dry mouth, the temptation was too much. Just 1 glass would be fine for the nerves. "Have you been here before?" he said in a smooth tone, already knowing the answer. She glanced at the luxury, the women who literally belonged on the cover of Vogue, men who dripped with money and power. How would Marinette ever fit in this world? "Can I ask, how did Mr. Agreste manage to arrange a fashion show here in the Élysée, the president's residence?" "My father, I, can pretty much take our pick where to hold a gala." He gestured his free hand out front, as if this belonged to him. He took a step into her personal space and leaned in to whisper, "With me, this will be your world too. These women will be begging to wear one of your dresses. Just look at how they admire you now." She shifted herself to casually glance across the saloon, an edge away from Felix slightly without him noticing. Indeed, she did have eyes on her, but she wouldn't have said they were admiring her, more like judging her, wondering why she should be so close to Felix Agreste. And honestly, she wouldn't be able to answer if they asked. Why was she here? Why did he choose her of all people? "Aha, they are gesturing us into the ballroom. Salle des Fêtes," the name rolling off his tongue as if she should be impressed. However, it wasn't until she strolled into the grand ballroom, the golden light sparkling from the numerous chandeliers causing the gilded walls to shine, never mind the breathtaking ceiling, when her eyes fell upon the black catwalk positioned in the center of the room, did the realization sink in. How was she meant to parade herself in front of everyone here? No, this was too much. The air became stuffy, and the bubbles made her head float. She needed a moment. She needed to step back and breathe. The sudden urge, wish for her kitty to be standing next to her, protecting her as he wrapped her back into his arms. "Please, excuse me? The restrooms," knowing it was the one place he wouldn't follow. "Of course. It's back through the hallway to the right. I can..." "No!" She held up a hand. "I'm sure I can find it. Thank you." Before he could make an excuse, she began to filter through the crowd. "Excuse-moi," she replied to looks of disapproval, making sure to lift her skirt while sliding past. Oh, what was she doing here? Even the restroom was gilded in gold. What was this place? You couldn't even go to the toilet without feeling inferior. Marinette leaned against the counter positioned for the ladies to touch up the makeup. There was even a chase in the corner. She let out a laugh that was strange, but it was the reflection which wasn't her. Was any of this her? Then Margaret's words of advice, to make her own path instead of this, to step away and towards. This wasn't where she was meant to be. The door to the restroom swung open. "Sorry, I forgot to lock it, but I'm..." "What do you think you are doing, Dupang Chang?" Marinette spun around and was faced with Chloe, snarling at her, slamming the door shut behind her whilst holding a glass of red wine. "Chloe, I'm already using this restroom and I'm not in the mood to deal with..." "You aren't going anywhere until you answer my question." "Which is..." "What do you think you are doing? Turning up here on the arm of Felix? Is that how you are planning to get into the fashion world? Sneaking up to Felix?" "No, of course not, Chloe." But was she? Was that exactly what she'd been doing? "I'm not you, Chloe. I don't use people. I'm here to compete." "Oh, really? I'm not a fool, Marinette. I saw you come here with him, walking the red carpet so that you can have your dress across all the papers and magazines. I mean, I hand it to you. It was a clever ploy, but you forgot one thing." Marinette sighed. "Which is what?" "Felix is mine." "No, he isn't, Chloe." "Yes, he is. And I can't have trash like you stealing him away. We are meant to be together." "Chloe, I'm not interested in..." "You can't lie to me. I saw you holding hands, clinging onto him. How dare you?" "Chloe!" Just as the words had escaped her lips, a wave of red wine crashed against her waist, causing a red waterfall to pour down the front of her dress. "Chloe!" "Now I would like to see how you can steal the show and my man in the process. To think of it, how can you even show your face or your dress to the guests?" The smirk turned to a glare. "This is where you belong, married trash. Don't forget it." Chloe placed the empty wine glass on the side, laughing to herself as she left Marinette standing there alone in shock. What on earth was she going to do now? Thank you for listening to chapter 12 of Secrets Under the Moon. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you smash that like button if you did. Make sure you comment down below what you thought of this chapter and what will happen in the next one. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on the next part, which might involve a little dance. And make sure you look out for other parts and one-shots and series that are happening at the moment. And I hope you're all good, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!